there are other events that I want to discuss with you. There's been another debate with the Republican candidates. I've watched both Jon Stewart and Colbert on shows on the subject of this debate, which was involving the Tea Party, a Tea Party audience, who they claimed didn't like any of the candidates. I mean, if they didn't go right along what the Tea Party line, they didn't like it. So, you know, the Tea Party is for strict resistance to immigration, and Rick Perry wasn't quite strict enough because he's educating the sons and daughters of illegals in Texas, and they didn't like that, and so on. And but the pro-life issue was not brought up. I didn't see the debate. I just saw pieces of it here and there and what they were saying. But another event happened here in Arizona. Planned Parenthood announced in the paper that they were going to give up fighting the restrictions on abortion, about 5 or 6 of them, passed 2 going on 3 years ago. In 2009, the first part of 2009, and they've had them tied up in the courts ever since. And there was one restriction calling for notarized consent from a parent of an underage teen seeking an abortion. And they've tried to pass this restriction over the years twice before. And each time it has, well, Janet Napolitano vetoed both times that the legislature managed to get it to her desk. But Janet Brewer, a Republican and pro-life, passed it. Then Planned Parenthood took it to court, and it's just been tied up in court for 2 years. Well, they finally announced they were giving up the fight. They were not going to keep on fighting. Well, now Planned Parenthood claims that, you know, their goal is to bring down abortions. But you have to consider that they can charge much more for an abortion than they can for just birth control pills or advice and consultation about birth control. So, you know, if you want to believe that they really do want abortions to come down, I don't think that is a valid goal of theirs. But I think that this huge fight that happened in Congress, that some of my closer people who know me well think that I caused Planned Parenthood to be fought in Congress. Well, I didn't cause it. I didn't cause it. But I certainly wasn't unhappy that Planned Parenthood was. He knows I didn't influence those congressmen
your ego
to do
is
this.
so far out to lunch that
John Boehner, the pro-life majority leader in the House.
What's his name?
John Boehner.
Boehner?
You know, Boehner from, Ohio.
His name is Boehner?
Yeah, Boehner. John. And so he was the one that led the fight to defund Planned Parenthood because of violations, they thought, of abortion restrictions. So, and for example, giving abortions to sex traffickers, the girls and girls they have in prostitution, that was one of the charges. So, anyway, at last, Planned Parenthood has given up in Arizona. And so for the first time, this restriction on parental consent, just one of them, is going to go. And also another telling restriction that requires a doctor to be on duty to provide an abortion. So this Planned Parenthood said has caused them to have to close 10 clinics, or close down to 3 locations rather than 10 to provide abortions in Arizona. Like Flagstaff, they've closed that one. And so there's only going to be abortions by Planned Parenthood providers in Tucson, Glendale, and Phoenix. So gradually, some of these restrictions are having their effect.
And you're trying to tell me it's all your fault, is that it?
Yeah, that I helped do it, you know. Well, I think some of my relatives think that
that's right.
think that I did. Well,
And for this, I got up from the nap.
38 years of protest writing, and a lot of times, you know, your letter might only, not even, well, they always claim they read every letter, but they might get one from somebody like me and say, oh, there's another from her. You know, who knows? I mean, abortion protesting is a very thankless job because you always sit there and wonder, well, what is this doing? I mean, but if it's the only thing you have open to you, firing letters off, protesting the media and what they're putting in there, the propaganda, and the media is skewered, it is biased in favor of legalized abortion, and has been for years. I'd say 80% is so there's only 20% that are going to. Well, this is
that one of those things you pull
but I thought it was almost 100%. So a bias against, you know, the newspapers all went pro-choice. Why? Because it was the law, and the newspapers weren't going to fight the law, and so when we passed legalized abortion, we got a pro-choice press. Well, most of them weren't going to do it, and they didn't do it. And they found a reason why that was good. That was good. Well, yeah, newspapers are supposed to fight laws that aren't.
They don't have to fight laws, they just have to tell you about, you know, what wonderful politicians are screwing you
when
this
they
time.
pass a law, you would think that newspaper people would question, you know, but there didn't seem to be anybody hardly even questioning. They just all jumped on the bandwagon. And I'm a pro-life Democrat, and so I was very disillusioned. I thought, my word, I mean, the Democrats were, I thought they were against war, they were against unfairness to minorities, they were for civil rights, they were for not killing people in the South who were black, and all of a sudden they're for legalized abortion. I thought, now that doesn't fly. I mean, it's not the same thing. What in the world are they thinking of? Like me, I'm an old protester. I would have been a conscientious objector, and I actually was held in I was taken under guard and held for a week in a psych ward because of protesting, you know, trying to get help for my husband who was in the service, and he was acting up and acted like he was going out of his mind and very violent, mentally ill, and
it's not me, folks.
I got into a conflict with his commanding officer, who I said, well, I would be a conscientious objector. He thought I was saying he was. I'd send him right straight to Korea. And I said, oh, no, sir. He believes like you do. But that's why I'm afraid of him. He's violent, and the more he studies and stays in the military, the more violent he gets when he gets drunk.
So what?
And well, just try spending a week in a psych ward locked up and threatened.
So you're pregnant and he gives you a punch in the stomach, right? Is that violence?
Oh, no,
Maybe
not at all.
he was trying
That's
to
probably
give
what
you
these are.
Maybe that was his answer
and
to
in the psych ward, the nurses would say, now, please, now, you've got to think about this, and when you go before the board, you've got to think about your answers, because you don't want to end up in the state mental, and they'll send you there if you don't pass the board. So I was sweating it out. I finally got out of there, but I'm an objector to war. So now I'm going like, what has happened to the thinking of the Democratic Party. So that's why, I've had to cross the line.
Well, what's this got to do with this Republican thing?
Well, I've had to cross the line and vote for Republicans because they're pro-life. They're fighting abortion.
What makes you think
So
the
what
Republicans
happened?
are
What happened
pro-life?
well, Boner is, Rick Perry is, I'm waiting for him to come out with it. This subject is a very difficult
Hey,
subject.
Boner, come here.
No. Okay, you can talk, but not too much. That's a little much right there. Just silence
My
yourself.
first name is Dick.
I bring him
know.
along so you can see what I have to put up with. He's a liberal Democrat. I mean, nothing could ever cause him to give up
Wait a
Democrats.
minute.
Most men are this
I'm
way.
an independent.
Men do not, they don't get the abortion issue. They just don't.
No, they get vasectomy.
Yeah, right. So I did celebrate. I had to celebrate this victory over Planned Parenthood in Arizona that has so long been delayed and just now got here. So this is it's going to be save some lives. And of course I'm hoping that the whole country will come to its senses and decide that they have to stop, they have to rethink, they have to, because any process that causes a lot of death, war, anything, is questionable, very questionable, and wrong. I mean, we can't stop people from going to war. I just received a very powerful statement in the mail from Chris Hedges. It was some sent on to me about how we did the wrong thing with 9/11. We had the chance to, basically what he is saying is turn the other cheek and find another way to solve what happened with 9/11, besides going right over to Afghanistan and killing another bunch of innocent people we'd have to kill. And what is more than that, going to Iraq. So he is deploring all of the war and all of the billions spent that's come out of 9/11. Well, some patriotic Americans think, yes, sirree, we needed to go and, do this. Well, I would say no. I say when people are attacked, it's very hard for them to turn the other cheek. I mean, they may be religious, and they may believe in Jesus, who preached turn the other cheek, but they don't understand that principle, and they don't want to, I know as against war that you do have to. In fact, that is one thing that I thought Jesus gave to the world as the message, that you can turn the other cheek. You can stop this cycle of revenge. Somebody does something to you, you go back and kill their people, and they get mad and come back and kill your people. Well, this is perpetual war.
No kidding.
And so if you can turn the other cheek and start trying to find another way.
It never happened. It's 2,000 years ago, and it still hasn't happened.
Yeah, I know. It's a very hard lesson for people to learn.
Let's talk about the Spanish Inquisition.
It's a very hard lesson. So, and I think that, but this Chris Hedges, he wrote a very powerful article about how if we had recognized some of our sins in handling these countries.
What is that? That's a made-up word.
We supported Israel in their fight against Palestine and removal, and he was saying that all of these things contributed to 9/11. Well, anyway, it was a very interesting letter, and being against war, I valued it. I value anything that's going to cut down.
Is this one of the emails you're talking about?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, it's not a letter, then it's an email.
An email. And I'm in for anything that will cut down the violence, because I think that we have to be responsible for overkill all the time. We're always overkill. And to solve our problems, if we kill somebody to try to solve a problem, that is overkill. That is unacceptable. So, I'm going to look forward to seeing this issue debated in months to come as a pro-life Democrat who has had to vote Republican because the Democrats abandoned their previous policy of being against death.
Okay. Time's up.
Yes, time is up.
Yeah. Gee, let's hear it for Sarah Palin.